Nora had only one rule for her night routine: don't poop where people can see you. So every night since she was 4, she'd sneak into the same dirty bush behind the broken down warehouse. No light, no people, just peace and poop. But tonight was weird. She had just squatted, yes, squatted properly, when she heard voices. Human beings. At that time of the night, in this bush, she nearly pooped herself before pooping. Frozen, pants halfway down, Nora held her breath. "I can't do this again. I swear," one of the voices whispered angrily. "Let's drop this one here. He'll never be found." "Nobody comes here," the second voice replied coldly. Nora's stomach dropped. What do they want to drop? Who is he? She wanted to cough, sneeze, do anything, but she stayed still. Because in this world, once you're homeless, you have only 2 weapons: silence and sense. After some minutes, the voices faded away. But Nora didn't move. She remained like a statue, squatting, stinking, and scared. Then wah-wah, a sound, a soft cry. Nora blinked. "Wet and be that," she whispered to herself. The cry came again, louder, real. "Ah, please, oh, don't tell me it's what I'm thinking." Still half shaking, Nora followed the tiny voice, her heart hammering like someone pounding Gary. She stepped slowly, one leg forward then the next, until a baby, wrapped like leftover food, dumped in the bush beside a large tree, crying, alive. Nora screamed. She looked around like a mad woman. Is this prank? Or CCTV is somewhere watching me? Or is this Nollywood? Nobody answered. She waited for someone to jump out shouting, "You're on camera!" But silence. So she did what nobody expected a dirty, barefoot, trash-smelling girl to do. She bent down, picked up the baby, and hugged him like her life depended on it. "Shh! Don't cry, little one. Please now." "I don't even have breast. How will I feed you?" she mumbled, petting him. "But you're safe now." And just like that, the girl who had nothing now had someone. As the first rays of daylight stretched across the sky, Nora knelt beside the tiny baby in the bush. She had used leaves and a torn nylon to wrap him up the best way she could. "I dey come, okay? I'll be fast," she whispered like a mother kissing her child goodbye. "Let me run to the trash before my senior colleagues collect all the fresh ones." Yes, senior colleagues. That's what she called the older street beggars who knew how to fight over food like it was gold. If she got there late, she'd be left with bones and soggy noodles. She ran fast, her bare feet slapping the ground as if it owed her money. As she reached the back of the restaurant dumpster, God of the street smiled on her. An elderly woman, dressed like someone's grandma, had just dropped a small bag of leftovers, fresh leftover bread and 3 half-full bottles of cold water. "Good morning, Ma," Nora said quickly, grabbing the bread like treasure. The woman didn't reply immediately. Instead, she quietly dropped a large, expired luggage bag with broken handles. Nora, sharp as usual, smiled. "This one go help me pack the bread well," she said, putting the food inside like a pro. As she turned to leave, the woman suddenly called her. "Hey, come." Nora paused, confused. "I didn't steal anything, Ma," she wanted to say. But the woman didn't scold her. Instead, she brought out 2 folded notes and stretched them towards Nora. Nora blinked like someone seeing money for the first time. "For me?" she asked, eyes wide. The woman just nodded with a soft smile, then entered her car and slowly drove off. Nora stood there, frozen. No one, not one person had ever given her a gift before. Most people didn't even look at her. She was just the girl from the street, the one that smelled like gutter and plastic fire. She looked at the 2 notes again. Real money. This woman must be an angel, or maybe God wore old woman's skin today. With joy bubbling in her chest, Nora grabbed her new bag, clutched the food, the water, and the mysterious notes, and ran back to the bush. She pushed the leaves aside and found her baby still lying there, quiet, like he'd been waiting for his mother. Nora dropped everything and lifted him gently. "See what we got today. Bread-o, water-o, and even money. Today is our Christmas, baby," she laughed. She kissed the baby's forehead and held him close. "From today, now you and me, I'll protect you. Even if we have to live inside dustbin or gutter, you're my family now, my only family. Then Nora sat under the shade of a dusty tree, her baby lying quietly on her lap, his tiny body still trembling from the cold night. She looked at the bread in her hand, then looked at the baby. "How do I even feed you?" she asked, her voice cracking. "No breast, no milk, and I don't even know your name." But she had to try something. Anything. She broke a piece of bread, chewed it slowly, mashed it until it was soft and warm in her mouth. Then gently, too gently, she forced a bit into the baby's mouth. "Please swallow, I beg. Swallow it like a good boy," she whispered. The baby coughed, whimpered, then slowly swallowed. Nora sighed with relief. "You see? We're learning. Bread is food too, oh." She fed him like that, chew, mash, feed, until he slept off peacefully in her arms, as if her heartbeat was his lullaby. Nora looked down at him, smiled, and wiped a tear from her dusty cheek. "My baby must wear clothes, not these leaves. You deserve better." She stood up quickly, kept the baby down and disguised him with a leaf and hurried to the nearest street shop. With the 2 wrinkled notes the woman had given her, she bought a faded baby cloth, a tiny cap, and a cheap plastic feeding bottle. She ran back to the bush and smiled. "You see now? You're a big boy, wearing clothes like a boss." After dressing him up, she carefully folded an old wrapper at the bottom of the expired trolley bag she got earlier. She placed the baby gently inside. Then she did something she hadn't done in years. She prayed. "God, I don't know if you dey hear poor people, but please, don't let anyone find him. Let me protect him. Even if in a dustbin we live inside, let it be peaceful." She zipped the trolley halfway, leaving a little gap on top for air, just enough so he could breathe but not be seen. "I must hide you here, little one. I don't trust those people. I don't want them to come back and find you. They might try to finish what they started," she said, patting the bag. And with that, Nora hit the road, the morning sun warming her back as she dragged the trolley behind her. To everyone else, she looked like a scruffy girl pulling her only belongings in a dead suitcase. But inside that old bag was her whole world. She walked fast, heading toward the local Mama Tea canteen, a place she often helped sweep the compound or throw out trash, all in exchange for a plate of rice, or if luck was smiling, a coin. The bag bumped and rattled behind her, but she kept going, whispering, "Don't worry. Mummy's got you. No one will ever throw you away again." As Nora arrived at the canteen, she greeted and began to sweep the front yard of Mama T's canteen like she always did, quick, silent, and invisible. The old broom scratched against the ground, raising tiny clouds of dust. Her trolley bag sat nearby under a bench, zipped halfway, the gap barely enough for her baby to breathe. She'd fed him water using the bottle earlier. He was calm now, asleep, like he knew his new small mummy was fighting for both of them. Then, just as she reached for a wrapper of old noodles under the bench, 3 men walked in, loud, confident, carrying a newspaper like it was pure gold. They pulled up plastic chairs and began to talk, their voices rising louder than the generator noise from the next building. "You hear, Am? The baby Don disappear again. Chai! After 10 years of waiting, that woman nearly died for this pregnancy. Oh, same thing way happened 10 years ago. That first baby disappeared too. Same hospital, same ward." Nora paused mid-sweep, frozen. "Wait, what?" She leaned closer, pretending to clean the table beside them. "The baby cried once, just once, then disappeared," one of the men continued. "Doctors said they thought a nurse carried him for checkup, but no nurse came forward. Security cameras? Gone. Gatemen? Sleeping. Nurses? Confused." By now, the whole canteen had gone silent. Customers stopped eating. Mama T stopped frying fish. Even the flies took a break. Everyone was listening. "So you mean the baby just vanished from a hospital?" someone shouted from the back. "No be juju be that?" another asked. Nora's heart pounded. Her palms turned sweaty. She looked at her bag, her baby, and swallowed hard. "God, don't let this be what I'm thinking." The men kept talking. "The husband's a big man. Security is on red alert. That baby is not just any child. Oh, people say the child carries something spiritual. I beg, make them no carry innocent people for questioning again. After a while, the drama cooled down. The men finished their food, left some crumbs, and stood up to leave. One of them dropped the newspaper on the chair, careless, like it wasn't holding the biggest story of the year. They walked out still talking, still shaking their heads. 10 years ago, now again, that family's cursed. Or someone close to them is stealing their joy. Nora stood still, broom in hand. Her baby didn't fall from the sky. He was dumped in a bush, at night, wrapped like trash, the same night a hospital baby vanished. She didn't want to believe it, but curiosity beat fear. As soon as the canteen emptied out, Nora dropped her broom and rushed to the table. She grabbed the paper and scanned the front page. There it was, bold headline, full-color photo. Rich couple loses second newborn in shocking hospital disappearance. A photo of a woman, tired eyes, puffy face, hospital gown, hugging an empty blanket. A man beside her, clenching his jaw like he was ready to break the world. Nora couldn't breathe. Oh God, what if? But the cold air that touched her baby's fingers brought her back. He wriggled inside the trolley, shivering slightly. Nora quickly folded the newspaper, opened the bag just a little, and slid it gently over him like a blanket. I know it's just paper, but it's warm, and definitely it would keep you warm. It's the least I can give you now, my love, she whispered. She zipped up the bag halfway again, eyes still shaking. That evening, after a long day of sweeping, dodging flies, and forcing smiles, Nora returned to her hiding spot in the bush, her usual corner, beneath dry leaves and broken zinc sheets. She laid the baby down gently on a sackcloth, then sat beside him with the newspaper in her lap. The paper that fed her baby warmth that afternoon was now feeding her something else, questions. She smoothed it out and began reading slowly, word by word, line by line. Rich couple mourns second baby disappearance. Wife delivered after 10 years of waiting, CCTV missing, no suspect found. And then, right there at the bottom of the page, she saw it. Anyone with information should report to 17 Crownleaf Street, Silvershine City. She stared at it, once, twice. Her eyes burned with confusion and pity. 2 babies, gone, 10 years apart. God, what kind of pain is this? She looked at her baby, still asleep, tiny fists curled like he was fighting in his dream. Nora felt a deep tug in her heart. She didn't have a birth certificate. She didn't have a name. She didn't have a phone or ID. But she had a conscience. What if he's their baby? She whispered. What if this is the second child they've lost? If it was me, I would want someone to bring my baby back. Tears rolled down her cheek. She wiped them with the edge of her skirt. That very moment, she decided, I'll go there, to that address. Maybe they can check somehow, blood or test or something. If it's their baby, they'll know. She packed what little she had, half-eaten bread, a worn-out wrapper, and the newspaper. She placed the baby gently into the trolley bag, leaving space to breathe, and whispered, Don't worry, my love. Small Mummy is just borrowing you for now. If they're your real parents, they deserve to hold you again. As the stars crept into the sky, Nora hit the road. No map, no money, no phone, just a will. She stopped by a roadside mechanic shop, pretending to admire the big tires. Oga, I beg, you sabi where Silvershine City day? The man looked at her up and down. You want go Silvershine like this? Yes, she nodded quickly. I just need to know how far. He laughed, that kind of laughter that told her she was in for madness. You dey joke? That place far die. You go waka till your leg turn to broomstick. Not another state. More than 10 towns from here. Nora smiled faintly. No wahala, sir. I just dey ask. I like journey. She walked away before more questions could come. But inside her, fear, hope, fire. Even if it takes forever, she said under her breath, I'll go. Whether I return empty or full, I must try. And just like that, Nora, barefoot, homeless, with a baby in a bag and nothing but courage, began a journey that she didn't know the end. Nora had walked all day, with the trolley dragging behind her, its broken wheels wobbling like a drunk man's legs, and the baby tucked carefully inside. She moved from one dusty road to another. Some people stared, some hissed, others ignored her completely, but no one asked if she needed help. Not one person. By evening, her feet were blistered, her lips cracked. Her stomach was roaring louder than passing trucks. Still, she kept moving. Just a little more. One more street, one more corner. We go reach somewhere. But as the sky darkened and shops began to close, Nora realized she had no somewhere. No house, no friend, no welcome mat waiting for her. Just the same old streetlights and cold shadows. She found an abandoned kiosk, one of those wooden ones where people used to sell recharge cards and biscuits. It was locked, but the small space behind it had enough room to stretch her body. She pulled her trolley bag close and sat beside it, her back leaning on the wooden wall. Her baby stirred and gave a soft cry. Nora quickly unzipped the bag, lifted him out, and rocked him. Shh. Sorry, my love. No milk tonight, only Mummy's arms. She kissed his forehead, even though her lips were dry like sandpaper. Then she reached into the side of the bag and brought out the leftover bread, now stiff and smelling like iron. She soaked a piece in water and mashed it again like before. This one no sweet, but go keep you alive. She fed him slowly, bit by bit, until his crying stopped, and then silence, only the sound of the wind rustling through trash. Nora laid him back in the trolley, adjusted the wrapper over him, and zipped it halfway. She placed her hand on the zip like a shield. She had nothing, but she would guard him with everything. Her body shivered from the cold. Her bones ached. Her stomach felt like it was eating itself. And as she curled beside her bag, arms folded tightly, Nora began to cry. Quietly, bitterly. Nobody go ask if I dey alive now, so I dey live since, she whispered. No light, no food, no roof. But I get you now before I get nobody. She looked up at the sky. The stars were out, mocking her with their shine. God, Nami talk say, I want help, oh. I no even know if the child is theirs. But even if he's not, I go still love am. Just help me reach there alive. No thunder answered. No angel flew down. Only a rat ran past her foot and a cockroach crawled across her bag handle. But Nora didn't scream. She didn't flinch. She just held the bag tighter, laid her head on it, and whispered, Good night, my baby. Sleep tight. Small Mummy is here. And with hunger in her belly and hope in her heart, Nora closed her eyes. On day 1 journey, then her journey continues to day 2, then day 3, then day 4. Every day felt like a whole year on its own. Nora kept walking through narrow roads, markets, dusty villages, pushing that broken trolley like a mother dragging her whole life behind her. Each morning, she'd look at the baby sleeping in the bag and whisper, Just one more day, my love. We're going. Even if my legs fall off, we must reach. But the road was long, and the days were cruel. When people weren't laughing at her, they were insulting her. Who drags a bag like that under hot sun? You no get house? See as she carry bag like mad woman. Nora never replied. She just smiled sometimes or kept quiet, because they didn't know that inside that bag was the child the whole country was looking for. Each night, when she found a quiet spot to rest under a tree, behind a fence, under a broken shed, Nora would do something strange. She'd bring out the newspaper, the one with the story, the one with the address. She'd carefully tear a tiny piece, just a corner with maybe a letter or two, and drop it into a small nylon bag she kept tucked inside her bag. In case anything happens, she'd whisper, this paper must not vanish like you did. That nylon bag became her little archive, her secret record. One piece of truth for each day survived. On day 7, as her body felt like it would collapse from heat, she saw it. A small stream, hidden behind thick grass and rocks. It was the kind of place most people would ignore. But to Nora, it looked like heaven. She checked the surroundings. No people, no strange eyes. Just silence and clean water dancing on stones. She quickly unzipped the bag, lifted the baby gently, and whispered, "Today, you'll have your first real bath, my love." She laid him on a clean wrapper beside the stream, took off her clothes, and stepped into the cool water. She sighed loudly. "Chai, see water!" She giggled, splashing it on her face, her hair, her legs. Then she scooped some into the baby's plastic bottle to keep for later. She returned to him, and one by one she poured water gently on his body, washed off the sweat, the dust, and the pain. "You look fresh now. Better than any baby in advert," she whispered, kissing his tiny nose. She washed his small cloth, spread it on a rock to dry, then wrapped him in the wrapper. For once, the sun felt gentle. The sky felt kind. But Nora didn't waste time. As soon as the cloth was half dry, she dressed him again, packed up, and hit the road. But Nora never walked past a trash site without checking. If she saw a bin, a pile of bags, or even a roadside dump, she'd stop. Quickly, she never stole. She just picked old napkins, torn socks, plastic spoons, crumbs of biscuit, empty sachet water packs she could refill. "Trash no dey shame me," she'd mumble. "It dey keep us alive." Sometimes she found a broken toy or a rusted safety pin and she'd smile like she'd won a prize. "Look, baby, see rattle. Yours now, oh." She talked to him like he could understand every word. And maybe, somehow, he did. Because each time she held him, he smiled. And that smile was enough to keep her walking. So every day, Nora walked, tearing paper, bathing in rivers, picking treasures from trash, sleeping with one eye open, and carrying a secret that could shake the world. The next day is another drama. Nora had lost count of the days, but she still kept her usual piece of paper daily. The road was endless. Her feet were hard like stone. Her skin was burnt and peeling from too much sun. But none of it broke her like what happened that morning. It started with a cry. At first, it was soft, just tiny whimpers from inside the trolley bag. "Shh, baby. Sorry, you're just hungry, Abby?" "Small mummy is coming," she whispered, stopping by a gutter's edge. She quickly brought out a dry piece of bread and half a bottle of warm malt she had picked from the trash behind a mechanic shop earlier that morning. She crushed the bread, tried to make it soft with the malt, then fed him carefully. But the baby didn't stop crying. He cried louder, longer, wailing like someone being pinched from inside. Nora's hands shook. "Ah, baby, please, nah. I don't have strength today. What is it?" She unwrapped him fast, trying to check if he was too hot, too cold, maybe bitten by an insect. Then she turned him over to check his back and froze. Red rashes all over his bum, tiny boils, peeling skin, raw, painful. Nora gasped so loudly she almost choked on her breath. "Jesus, what is this?" She looked around. She was by the roadside of a tiny village. People passed. Some stared. Most ignored. That was the day Nora did something she hadn't done before. She backed the baby. For the first time since she found him, she tied him with her wrapper and carried him on her back like a proper big sister, his hot body pressed against her tired bones. "Hold on, baby. We go find help." She ran down the dusty road until she saw a small wooden table with a large umbrella and colorful plastic bowls. Behind it sat a woman selling local body powder, soaps, and creams. Nora stopped, breathing hard, sweat pouring, eyes wild. "Please, help me. My brother needs powder. He's reacting badly." The woman squinted at her, then looked at the crying baby on her back. "I'm not doing charity here," the woman said dryly. "I sell to people who have money." Nora swallowed hard. "Please, just small powder. I beg you. I'll pay somehow." The woman folded her arms. "Do you see any free written on my forehead?" Nora blinked back tears. The baby cried louder. She dropped to her knees. "I can do anything. Please. He's just a baby." The woman sighed, clearly not moved, but then she pointed to a large blue drum standing by the back of her stall. "See that drum over there?" Nora nodded quickly. "Fetch water and fill it up for me. It's been empty since morning. Do that, and I'll give you powder. Free." Without thinking, Nora untied the baby, laid him gently under the table in the shade, and grabbed an empty yellow keg lying nearby. She ran to the nearest well, filled it, came back. poured it. Then again, and again, and again. 5 trips. Each one farther than the last. Her back screamed. Her hands shook. But she didn't stop until the drum was full. The woman finally stood, looked into the drum, then opened a small container of powder and handed it to Nora. Take. This is all I can give you. Nora took it like it was gold from heaven. Thank you. God bless you, Ma. Thank you. She rushed under the table, rubbed the powder gently on the baby's rashes, blowing air with her mouth as she patted him. It's okay, baby. It's okay now. Small Mummy fixed it. Small Mummy will always fix it. The baby's cry slowly faded into soft hiccups, and for the first time in hours, he closed his eyes. Nora sat on the ground, her back against the drum she just filled with pain and sweat. She held the powder close, her baby closer, and whispered, That's all I have to give, baby. My back, my strength, my everything. But I'll never stop. For a few days, everything seemed like a repeating circle. Pick from the trash. Feed the baby with anything that smelled half safe. Clean him up by a stream. Wrap him with newspaper. Rock him gently inside the trolley till she slept. Then curl up beside him, half on thorns, half on dreams. But that one day, the day everything almost ended, it started with hunger. Nora hadn't eaten anything in nearly 2 days. The baby's food came first. Always. Her lips were cracked, her head spun. Yet she dragged her worn-out slippers, the one she picked from the trash one evening, behind her as she pushed the trolley past a rowdy bus park. She saw a crowd of men shouting over a street fight. Her head turned for 1 second. Just one. And that was all it took. A rough-looking boy, no more than 16, grabbed the handle of the trolley and ran. Nora blinked. It took her 2 seconds to realize what was happening. Another second to scream, Thief! My bag! My bag! People turned, but nobody ran after the boy. It was just an old broken luggage. Why would anyone chase a thief for that? But Nora knew. That wasn't a bag. That was her baby, her only family, her everything. She ran, barefoot, screaming, dodging people, tripping, bleeding, crying. Her lungs burned as she pushed forward. The boy ran across the road. A car almost hit him. He fell. The bag tumbled from his grip, rolled into the gutter. Nora screamed louder than she ever had in her life. My baby is in there! Gasps filled the air. People froze. Some laughed, thinking she was mad. Some rushed with her as she jumped into the dirty gutter, dragging the trolley back. Her hands trembled as she unzipped it. The baby wasn't breathing. No, 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 please, wake up, wake up. She pressed the baby to her chest, cried, rocked, screamed. A woman nearby called out, He's foaming! Someone bring water! Another man rushed with a sachet of water and poured some on the baby. Suddenly, a soft gasp, a cough, a weak cry. The baby was alive. Nora collapsed to the ground in tears, holding her tightly, rocking her like never before. The crowd stared in silence. Someone whispered, She really had a baby in that bag. Nora looked up, her face dirty, her eyes fierce. He is my everything. Even if I die, I must protect her. That night, no one offered her help. No one gave her food. But Nora didn't care. She held her baby close, wrapped her tighter in the remaining newspaper, and whispered, You will not die. Even if the world throws us away, I will keep you alive. And as the baby slowly drifted to sleep, Nora wiped her tears and tore a piece of the newspaper, as always, dropped it in the tiny nylon, and hid it inside the trolley bag for the journey that was still far from over. The next morning, the sun rose slowly, peeking through the gaps of the abandoned kiosk where Nora had spent the night with her baby. She stretched her aching body, rubbed her sleepy eyes, and reached into the trolley. The baby was still sleeping, peacefully, warmly, tightly wrapped in layers of patched cloth and love. Nora smiled. Today, the journey continues. She gathered her bag, tied her worn-out scarf, and stepped outside, shielding her baby from the morning chill. Just as she took her first step, a gentle voice called behind her. Young girl. She turned. A neatly dressed woman in her early 40s was standing with a food flask in her hand. Her eyes were soft, yet curious. I saw how panicked you were yesterday, the woman said carefully. How come you're with a baby? Where is your mother? Nora paused. She hesitated for a breath, then smiled faintly. Our mother stays at Silvershine City, she replied. She's been very sick, and that's where we're going. The woman's eyes narrowed slightly. Then why can't you take public transport? It's dangerous for a small girl like you to trek that far, especially with a baby. Nora looked down, her toes curled into the dust. We don't have money for transport, Ma. The woman stared at her for a moment. Then, without another word, she dug into her purse and brought out 2 notes, creased but clean. She handed them over. And this, she added, passing her the warm flask she was holding. It contains food for my child and myself, but I can get another one for us, though it's not much, but it'll help, even if it's just a little. Nora gasped, her eyes widened. Her fingers trembled as she collected the flask. Thank you. Thank you so much, madam. She looked at the woman like she was an angel. That afternoon, for the very first time since her baby was born, Nora opened a flask and poured warm pap and milk into a plastic cup. She fed her baby gently, watching the child's face light up with a smile she'd never seen before. Nora had never known what joy tasted like until she took a spoon from the flask for herself. Rice, sauce, meat, real food. She paused. The taste danced on her tongue. It brought tears to her eyes. She hadn't eaten food like this in years. She looked at her baby, who was now giggling and clapping his small hands. Nora held his close, whispered in his ear, We'll get there. I promise you. We'll survive this world together. And for the first time since her journey began, she believed it. Despite all odds, Nora arrived at Silvershine City. But the city wasn't what she imagined. It was clean, rich, and crawling with officials, police vans, security checkpoints. Even sanitation officers were patrolling like spies. Her heart pounded fast. Oh God, how am I going to escape these people? She gently rocked the box beneath the trolley. Please don't cry now, baby. Please, don't let them hear us. Twice, she nearly turned back. But then, 2 officers walking past smiled and greeted her. Good morning, young girl. She smiled faintly and nodded. They didn't even look into the box. Still, it took her 3 more days, sneaking through alleys, resting under bridges, waiting for late-night moments to move, before she finally found Crownleaf Street. And then, number 17. The moment she saw it, her lips parted into a small, exhausted smile. A white mansion behind a high gold-trimmed fence. Security cameras blinked from every corner. A gardener trimmed the flowers by the gate, and parked in front was a sleek black SUV. We made it, baby, she whispered, but her smile quickly faded. I can't go in like this. What if they don't want you? What if they're the ones who threw you away? She didn't even let herself think of the worst possibility. She slowly walked past the house, head down, heart racing. At the edge of the estate, she saw a broken-down kiosk, wooden, abandoned, and leaning sideways like it could fall any minute. She peeked inside. Dust, cobwebs, old wrappers, a rusted spoon, but it would do for now. She sat on the floor, pulled the baby box close, and unwrapped the cover gently. The baby blinked up at her, tiny fists reaching for nothing. Nora smiled through her exhaustion. We're here now, but you have to pray with me that we don't enter the wrong hands. She slept there that night, with rats scurrying, with her back to the wall, with one eye open, clutching her baby like the most precious gold in the world. By 5 a.m., she was awake. She covered the baby, washed his face with her scarf, and stepped back onto Crownleaf Street, this time standing directly across from the mansion. She didn't move. She didn't beg. She just stood there, watching. The gate opened. A maid came out to sweep the front porch. A man in a black suit stepped out to polish the SUV. Nora stayed hidden behind a tree, eyes sharp. Then the main door opened, and for the first time, she saw him. Tall, brown-skinned, neatly dressed in a soft robe, with shoulders that looked too heavy for one man to carry. He stepped out slowly, looking around like someone searching for something that would never return. Nora stared, then whispered to her baby, "Could that be your father?" But she didn't move closer. She simply clutched the trolley tighter and said, "We'll wait. Watch. And when the time is right, we'll knock." Just then, a maid walked out from the mansion, holding her phone to her ear. Her voice floated through the silent morning. "Yes, my boss just left now. He'll be back by 12 noon before preparing for the trip." A short pause. "Okay, ma," the maid replied, ending the call and disappearing back inside after dropping the trash in her hand. Nora gasped. "He's traveling?" Her voice trembled. "No, I must see him today. I can't risk this boy's safety anymore. He needs to see his parents." With a pounding heart and shaking knees, she hurried back to the kiosk. She placed the box gently down and whispered to the baby, "Today is the day, okay? Pray with me, my love. We've come too far to fail now." She waited. Each tick of time tore at her soul. At exactly 11:45, Nora positioned herself by the side of the road, a little bit far from the mansion, clutching the handle of the trolley box. She couldn't blink, couldn't breathe properly. Then a black Mercedes SUV appeared from the bend. Nora's heart leapt. She recognized the car from her morning's watch. It was him! She sprang forward, waving both hands in the air desperately, refusing to be ignored. At first, the car didn't slow down. The driver was about to zoom past her when, screech! The vehicle came to a halt a few feet from her. The back window rolled down. A clean-shaven man in a perfect attire leaned forward. "Why are you here with a luggage box? Are you going somewhere?" he asked, clearly puzzled. Nora nodded nervously. "Yes, sir. To your house." The man chuckled softly. She nodded again, her voice firmer now. "Yes, sir. And it's important that you talk to me privately. Now, today." He frowned a bit. His hand reached into his wallet, and he stretched out a few Naira notes to her. "Here, take this and go to wherever you're heading." Nora didn't move. She didn't touch the money. She looked him dead in the eye. "Sir, I didn't come here for money. I came to see you, and it's urgent. But please, it must be in your house." There was silence. The man seemed unsure. Then the driver, an older man with kind eyes, turned back from the steering wheel and said gently, "Sir, you always have a soft spot for children. You've helped countless of them before. Why not give this one a chance to speak too, even if just for a moment?" The man looked at Nora again. His eyes slowly traveled down to the trolley box by her side, then back up to her face. He sighed. "Fine, get in." Nora felt her knees nearly give way from relief, but she held herself together, gently lifted the box, and got in the car. Today was the beginning of the storm. Inside the mansion, silence rippled like a wave. The security men exchanged quiet glances. The gardener froze mid-sweep. The maids peeked from behind curtains and corners. Whispers began. "He brought a smelly girl in? With the trolley? But he's never done that before, not even with the ones who begged." They all knew one thing. The boss had a soft spot for homeless children. He'd built shelters, paid school fees for strangers, even fed some from his table. But never, not once, had he brought one into his house. Not until now. And she wasn't alone. Nora's palms were sweaty on the trolley handle as she followed him down the long marble hallway. Chandeliers sparkled above her, but her eyes stayed low, her lips whispering silent prayers. He led her into a richly furnished study room and shut the door behind them. Without sitting, he faced her. His voice was brisk and sharp. "All right, speak now and be fast. I have a flight to catch." Nora nodded, inhaling deeply. Her voice was steady, but her heart thundered. "Sir, I heard your son vanished at birth recently." She looked up. "Does he look like this?" Without another word, she bent down and unzipped the trolley bag. There, curled up like a sleeping angel, was a newborn baby. The man gasped, staggering a step back. His eyes widened in disbelief, flicking from the baby's face to Nora. "What is this?" But Nora raised her hand quickly, her voice low and urgent. "Please don't shout. Don't call anyone yet. Do whatever you need to do, secretly, to confirm if he's your child or not. She took a step closer and whispered, "Because, sir, your enemies might be closer than you think. They may even live in this house." The room fell into thick silence, and that silence was about to change everything. The next day, the results were in. The test was swift, private, and highly confidential, run overnight in the most discreet lab Mr. Ken Silvershine could trust. He hadn't slept. He hadn't traveled. He couldn't, not until he knew the truth. Now, standing in his study room with the brown envelope in hand, his heart pounded like thunder. He tore it open, read the lines once, then again, and again. Probability of paternity, 99.9999%. It was him. The child was his son, his blood. Ken's hands trembled, and for the first time in years, tears burned his eyes. He had a son. He had a second chance. Just then, Nora walked in, looking hopeful. She saw the paper in his hand, the emotion on his face, and she knew. "He's yours?" she asked, almost in a whisper. Ken nodded, too choked to speak. Nora let out a sharp breath, her face lighting up in raw joy. She let go of the trolley and ran towards him, arms open wide, ready to hug him. But she didn't see the stool in front of her. Her foot struck it hard. She stumbled forward and crashed to the ground with a loud thud. "Nora," Ken screamed. She didn't move. She lay still. To be continued. Watch out for part 2. It's only just beginning. Hello, besties. Can you believe that? After all Nora went through, she finally found the baby's real father. But just when things were falling into place, tragedy struck. Will Nora wake up? What secret is still hiding behind the baby's birth? And who really abandoned the child? Part 2 will leave your mouth wide open. So don't miss it. Subscribe, like, and drop a comment in your language, bestie. Let's talk about it.